So, I thought I'd make a video of what oils to check in your Morris Minor. Let's have a look. So, engine oil. Let's see. Engine oil should always be towards the maximum on the stick. Just below maximum, which is where it should be. Usage of oil shouldn't be too much. Over a period of time, you might have to top it up every 500 miles or so with a small amount of oil, but this should not be excessive. And with my engine, which was rebuilt 15 years ago, I never have to top up any oil between services. Although there is slight drips under the car, but it's not too much. This is the 1098cc engine with a brake servo, an alternator, remote brake fluid reservoir, and the battery is a Bosch 610 amps, which is much bigger than is required, but you can't have too big, so it's better having more capacity. That battery is about 7 years old now, and it's still okay. So your next service check or daily check, obviously check your water, which should be just below the filler neck, just here, right below that filler neck. That's where the water level should be. It will use a small amount, but again, shouldn't need topped up with excessive amounts of oil. Coolant. Heater hose here. This should be, this cable, a remote heater valve, but the crimped fittings on them tend to fail and then it leaks water. So I replaced it with a brass tap type. It just means if I want the heating, I've got to open the tap. Just give that a check, make sure it's not leaking, because it's very common for that to be leaking. And then you've got your carburetor. This is a HS1 carburetor with the float bowl at the front. This is what standard Morris Minors have, particularly the 1098cc, which is this. What you have to do, I have to do it relatively frequently, is unscrew this, pull it out, then this will come out. So at the bottom of the dash pot there's a lip about an inch in that filler hole. Basically you want to fill it with engine oil, 20W50, as far as that lip, to keep the piston lubricated. So you're basically filling it up to about this level here, right here. Do not fill it to the top, just to here. You'll see the lip inside. Give this a check on top of the float bowl. So the fuel comes through, it fills the float bowl. There's a float that lifts up and closes the valve. When this crimped hose fitting fails, it starts leaking petrol on top Mine has actually got a slight weep, and I have a new one to fit. That's a job that has to be done. Other than that, just generally check the engine bay, make sure there's no leaks. Your ignition coil, this one's oil filled, which I prefer. It's new, so it's okay. But the old one, you'll find if you feel under, some of them leak. And if it leaks oil everywhere, this coil will overheat and the engine will not run properly. That's what happened to me and I had to replace it. Most coils are mounted vertically, which is the way it should be. Because I have a servo in the way, this one had to be mounted horizontally. Fan belt, I better review it. So, your fan belt should be not overly tight, just tight enough that it's not going to slip. You can see here there's a bit of movement there, and I can twist that to the side. As long as you can twist it to the side, that's correct tension. If you over tighten it, the bottom pulley is riveted together and it can fall apart, and they're quite difficult to get, these pulleys now. Note the air filter housing. The inlet here is beside the manifold. This is a winter running position. It gives a bit of preheated air into the engine, which helps it run the cold. During the summer, loosen this off, lift this up a bit away from the manifold to prevent overheating and high temperatures. And again, just generally checking everything's okay, battery's fixed, your fuel pump looks okay, no obvious leaks or anything. This isn't standard, I've added a fuel filter. And that's it. Quite simple, but just worth checking. Your distributor cap, the HT leads should be replaced probably every few years. They don't tend to last that long. These are high performance 8mm ones, and they're particularly good. I've had them now for probably 5 years and they're still perfect. Spark plugs, I prefer NGK, but that's just my preference. I find the engine runs better with them, but it's entirely obviously up to yourselves. Your distributor cap, pop these off. The rotor on top pulls off and you can give that a wee clean. Give your distributor cap a clean underneath. And there's also, when you lift the rotor arm off, there's a little foam pad under it. A wee drop of 3-in-1 oil, or light machine oil. Just a couple of drops is enough to keep the distributor cap shaft lubricated. That doesn't have to be done often. Maybe every time you replace the rotor arm. So once every couple of years or so is plenty. Under the car, what to look out for is any obvious oil leaks. Right here, between the sump and the gearbox, there's always going to be oil because it's a scroll seal on the rear of the engine and they always leak. But as long as it's not excessive, it's okay. My car's sat here all winter and There's not much at all. It's sitting perfectly flat right enough, but nothing at all. Just the odd trip. Your steering gear, this is all new. I replaced it all because the lower trunnions were worn, causing excessive play, which can be dangerous. Just make sure, see the grease point there in the middle of the picture? Now you'll find them at either side at the front on the lower trunnion. You'll find one on the upper trunnion and sometimes on the track rod ends. Make sure they're greased frequently. I don't follow the service intervals, I do it very frequently, probably every 2 months or so, but you don't have to do it as often as that. I just, because they're new, didn't want them to wear out again, so just decided to do it more often. Why not? The prop shaft has got universal joints on either end, which have also got grease points if they're original Spicer joints. If they're not, sometimes newer ones don't have grease points, because mine did have grease points when I got the car and it hadn't been greased, and these universal joints have to be greased regularly, because if they're not, particularly the front one, will wear out. It's simple to grease it. When you're greasing all these grease points, do it until fresh grease is coming back out. So maybe 6 strokes of the grease gun, something like that. And once the old grease is coming out and it's turning fresh, you know you've got enough. One thing I must mention as well is the steering rack. You don't have to top that up with oil too often, but maybe once every couple of years. Passenger seat, I'll do another video. Passenger seat floor, there's a wee cover, and there's a grease nipple. Do not put grease in it. I've heard people don't. Unscrew, you can't get oil guns now that are of any use, or I can't find one. So all I do is unscrew the bleed nipple. It's a bit fiddly, but if you put a socket on it with a bit of blue tack in it, it'll stick to it. Unscrew the bleed nipple, take it out and use an oil can with, it's actually this one, EP90 engine oil in it. EP90 gear oil, and top it up. The steering rack likes to have gear oil in it. Just the same as what's in the rear axle. That's what I use. Also, the gearbox oil level should be checked probably once every 3 months. Just go in the car, lift the passenger carpet, there's a rubber bung, take it out, and there's a screw you can unscrew. Make sure the level's to the top, because if that did go down you wouldn't know it. Your brake fluid, I've got the reservoir, so I know what the level is. Usually you don't have that, in which case you need to come in here, you need to lift that carpet, and you'll find the brake master cylinder about here. There's a big nut on the top, unscrew it, make sure the brake fluid's filled to just below the top. And that's it. That's all it checks. Obviously check for brake fluid drips or anything underneath. You will find the rear axle drips oil. Very common. It's just probably the drain plug threads. I say a few drips every now and again's okay. Again, anything excessive maybe needs a wee bit of sealant, PTFE tape or something similar. your leaf springs, spray them with WD-40 or something like that every now and again. Just keeps the rust off them and keeps them lubricated. And that's it. Quite simple. This is just very simple guide to what checks you can do to make sure your car's kept in good condition. As I say, follow the steps, make sure the grease points are done, make sure you're checking oils and everything regularly, and it will be perfectly reliable. Thanks for watching this video, and if you would like to suggest any other videos or subjects that you wish to see, please let me know. Thank you.